All right, Axel, thank you very much. Another excellent presentation, great points. So with that, let's dive right into this discussion, folks. Let's open the floor. Certainly, my quick takeaway was, as I kind of noted my thoughts there in the chat. This parallel theme between both of your work, of that necessity of interaction between human and AI, whether it's in the form of the ghost, and the function that the ghost would serve for people in stages of grief, and also from the film Her, this concept of this interactive companion to address loneliness, while serving slightly different purposes. There's a lot of overlap there in that sense of, it's whether it's the ghost or the digital girlfriend, it's serving as a similar social role, social service of sorts. So yeah, that's my quick takeaway. So thank you both for that. So yeah, let's hear from some of the other folks, questions and comments. Please just go ahead and just jump in first, or do the digital hand raise, and we'll call it. Kelly, go ahead.
Thanks, Edward. Really great presentations. Has me thinking a lot and hard on this Thursday morning, but really, really insightful. My question is about if any studies have been done on these digital ghosts. So hearing these reflections, I know it's emerging, so it's probably too soon, but this idea of, does it promote healing or does it prolong grieving? Like if you have this ongoing, and then also the guilt, like what Lili mentioned on the second death, like if you one day forget to talk to your digital ghost, or it becomes less relevant, how do you manage that kind of grief?
As you say, it's an emerging issue. I know that some work is beginning to be done in some universities in Sweden, but I will send a link where the boyfriend in the grieving boyfriend case writes a quite lengthy blog post about his experience, and he touches upon some of that, both the second death and also what it did for him and what it did not. I think it's quite interesting, and since academia moves slower than other places. Most accounts have been from journalists, and I think that a common theme is that people, even that they don't believe that there is a ghost in the computer, find it's quite eerie, or they become a little touched by the experience in some way, which I think is interesting, and also maybe a reason to have discussions about this technology from a human perspective.
Thank you.
Hi. 2 months ago, I sent in a proposal for the next generation foresight practitioner. Now, I didn't call it digital necromancy, but it is along the similar lines. So we should definitely collaborate, Axel, in the future. And the specific topic that I'm going to cover is a family member who died under mysterious circumstances, investigative journalist, and who was being a little bit too much in a political challenge, even though who didn't have political ambitions, so kind of creating an alternative worlds of continuity. And on the zeros and ones, the Japanese create the most electronics and advanced technical equipment, but you know, in Shintoism they believe everything has a spirit. So certain equipment are blessed, factories are blessed, planes. So it's truly a rich world. One of the things that has stuck with me is after the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi in Istanbul, you know, an assassination team with two corporate jets came in, but one of the corporate jets actually flew out to Egypt, even though both of them came out of Saudi Arabia. So, you know, he was killed in the most horrific ways. You know, there wasn't much left of him, and yet still a mysterious flight went to Egypt. So I guess, I mean, I'm not an Egyptologist or a anthropologist, but there is a belief that certain organs carry the spirits, and that, you know, really, if you want to get rid of the spirits, you have to get rid of certain things and certain rituals and what have you. So it's just always remained on my mind as a mystery. So that's why I guess it's really important to remember those individuals who have made great sacrifices and remember their names over and over again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Besir.
Yeah, I have a thought on the themes of using generative AI as a kind of tools for remembrance of the dead, or provide consolations about loneliness, about human psychological problems. And are there any ethical considerations and technological limitations of using generative AI in this kind of social practice?
Yeah, I think that's a. I have a. When I've read about the discussion, it's interesting because for me, this ethical discussions, and this is about both the use of digital necromancy, if you can use that term, or broader. It's either about like who owns the data, who has the right to make this the whole debate about access and ownership of both technology and data, of course. But then is I think also what cultural weight or significance should we ascribe these avatars? Are they just like the Tamagotchis that you keep around in your pocket, or is there any reason to try to foster like a more reverence or things like that for them? And that's an interesting, maybe more spiritual than ethical question. I do think that one interesting ethical question, you wrote an interesting comment about the different views of ghost, and also someone wrote that there was that the European account differed from the Asian. I think that's an important and interesting discussion as well, because that we have seen those who lead the way in technology also set the standard and framing of the use of technology. So something that isn't problematic at all in one context could be deeply disturbing in another, and especially in this case. Are we what I think that maybe is the most immediate question. Do we want this software as a service model to be implemented on our grief process or the memories of our parents? You can see like do you want the premium or the freemium model that where your relatives start to read you some ads mid conversation or things like that? You can do like a pretty dystopian scenario there. I think that's that remains to be worked out.
I think Lily brought a wonderful point, and we should not only be questioning the ethical part, but even as individual users, consumers, we should be very, very vigilant, because for the past 5 years, by cell phone companies and several other companies were trying to look for ways to capture my voice so that they would be a lot more helpful and provide me much easily and provide me access in a much easier way and so forth. But obviously, once it's digitalized, it's just digitalized. It's just very difficult to get it back. Thank you.
Yeah, that echoes my point too. Both designers and the customers need to have the awareness of any design that direct our future.
I think just
Right.
something.
Well, oh yeah, please, Kelly, go ahead. Yeah.
This is such an engaging conversation. And just thinking about Li, your presentation and the concept you shared of social dysphagia, and thinking about the acceleration of us retreating, like in the movie, you see him retreating into his technology and you see everyone retreating into their technology. But yeah, just what does that look like if we continue to lean on these tools for our social interaction? Yeah, worrying.
Yeah, I see a family gathering, a funny picture about a family gathering at the Christmas time. Everybody's holding like a device and nobody's looking at each other, although they travel so long distance from the world to get this gathered together, they are still using their devices to communicate.
So can I just say, just add on to a point, I think we were all worried about, where this is going to head. We're talking about deep fakes and, is it just AI and all the other future devices there to help us and support us, or would they be doing more harm than good? So we were reading Jim Dator's Human Becoming in chapter 7, where he cautioned against caution his students to not read science fiction because they're gonna, all these ideas and stories will colonize their mind. So the group of us at the book club, we were like, why not? Why not? Because all of us grew up with science fiction. So I posted the question to Jim Dator on an email and say, why do you, explicitly warn us against, referencing science fiction when we think of our images of our future? And that's his response. I put on the chat. He said that, he knows that it's very unpopular, his objection to science fiction or fiction in general. The stories are really good at colonizing our mind, but there are so many other non-fictional ways to expand your understanding of how people might live and might or should live in the future. History, for example, anthropology or astronomy, animal sciences, and so on. And his book, he said, of course, he was very grumpy when no one read his book, he says, so that's why we were reading his book, one of the reasons. And then he said, I can assure you that our minds are colonized by certain images of the futures that prevent many of us from imagining and working towards better real world. I think, see, what is real here? So with the, the emerging technology, it's just taking over every bit of us. So the realness, just as the level of deadness and the level of realness is on a decline. Yeah, that's just my thinking. Thank you, Everett.
That's great, Booth.
Decolonizing the mind is something essential because many years ago, my only view of Colombia was the one that I've watched from Harrison Ford's Tom Clancy version of, basically Medellin and this city and that city being purely run by cartels. I mean, there is a narco-terrorism, no doubt about it, but then you really cannot associate those images with every Colombian. So I mean, and many, many years ago, almost 20 years ago, I made a cultural faux pas. And to this day, I still regret it. And actually, out of that experience, I became more of a critical, rebellious individual. And when we look at the past masters, gosh, I forgot the name of the foresight divinity guy who made predictions into the year 2000. Well, anyway, so a lot of the past diviners and predictors and future scholars have studied several disciplines, numerous disciplines, and as a result of those diverse range of disciplines, they were able to come up with a much bigger picture. So perhaps it's not just colonizing, but just expanding our minds, as he put it.
Yeah, great comments, folks. Great session. I'm reminded as well. The image Li shared of everyone sitting at the dinner table, having traveled from far away with a device in their face. I had a similar experience 20 years ago when I first went to Ireland. I went and did my bachelor's and master's degree in Ireland, and mobile phone use in Ireland compared to the United States, maybe 3 out of 10 people had a mobile phone in the early 2000s, whereas ownership in Ireland among people 15 and up was 93%, right? So I saw this interesting phenomenon. To me, it was an interesting phenomenon, and I actually wrote my undergraduate thesis on it in cultural anthropology. Similar like Axel, I have a background in anthropology and philosophy. Those are my 2 subjects back in Ireland that I'd studied for my bachelor's degree. I noted that people came together, right, to be in the pub, yet everybody had a phone in their face. It's like, you came to hang out with your friends, but you're still interacting with someone else, right? The modern updated version seems to be that you could be interacting with a digital someone else, not even tapping away. There's another human on the other end of the screen, that you're interacting with. Now we might be interacting with a digital partner, or a digital ghost, someone whose chair is empty at the dinner table, but they're still there in a sense as that digital ghost.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
That's I think the threshold for that being a reality is lower than we might think, since so many interactions so many people have already isn't physical or dependent on being physical, or if you're used to have the most of your interactions like through Discord or some social media where you don't meet, at least you're only like an avatar in text. Who cares if you're real or not, ultimately, especially if you have been real, earlier in time. So strange times, actually.
Yeah, certainly so. Just being reminded of other recent sci-fi films, like the film Ready Player One, for example. With it worked for the plot twist of the film that the digital characters, in their avatar forms, would eventually meet in the real world. Because it was a necessary part of the progression of the film. But who's to say that such a character wouldn't have been a completely digital character? An artificial intelligence that existed in that world, but not as a physical being that that the avatar was. What we saw as the avatar would be the full person, not merely a a digitalized but controlled from the real world representation of that person.
Yeah, I'm thinking now in my head, I'm starting to tie ends together here with the diegetic perspective and design futures, that likely we will should go watch some films or perhaps read sci-fi, even that Dator doesn't want us to, about where these concepts are tried out, because I'm thinking that if there's a functional technology in this fictional world, it's there for a reason. It serves some purpose in that world, and maybe that's we can learn from these narratives or fictions. At least that's what I'm thinking. So it's a very useful tool, Li, that I will really have in mind to watch for these diegetic prototypes. What's the term, right?
Inspired of design fiction, currently I'm designing learning instructional activities and learning materials using design fiction as a pedagogy, as a pedagogical approach to raise awareness from young people about the impact of artificial intelligence on society and on their lives.
Well, we're so glad that these similarities have been teased out, drawn out, because when I had sent the invitation to both yourself, Li and Axel, I had read your articles and thought, you know, these two have these parallels, these similar concepts, and you know that's why we selected to invite you both for this, what's turned out to be a really wonderful discussion, great session, to make those comparisons, you know, see the overlap and similarities, and you know, perhaps different, you know, through this discussion, maybe even both of you have seen new ideas and new directions that you could take your own future work in, you know, if you would you know, write follow-up articles, or you know, the next chapter, so to speak, of your respective work in this area. With that, is there anyone else have any final thoughts, final words, any last takeaways from the session?
I think Anisah should have Professor Dator on one side and Professor Tony Lombardo on the other side, one side pro science fiction, and hold a debate amongst them. I think that would be an interesting experience, or just a 30-minute or a 60-minute discussion suggestion.
Then it will be the fight of the year. on my left corner and my right corner. No, I think Jim Dator is shy away from public appearance these days. I've asked him several times to come to the community. He just kept quiet about it. So yeah. Edward, I think we are 15 minutes past the hour. Would you like to close the session?
Yeah, we let ourselves go a little bit longer, but I think everyone was happy with the discussion today. With that, I'd like to formally say thank you to all attendees, and I'd like to remind you all that Anisah had put a link there in the chat that we hold monthly sessions, monthly Zoom meets, and we also CC and I run a discussion group. We've had Besir and several others have joined for the discussion for the book club. Every 2 weeks we've been doing on Jim Dator's Human Becomings book. Right. So we will be glad to see you all there if you'd like to join. We have the information for that on the Journal of Future Studies Community of Practice LinkedIn page. If you like, you can, if you can't find the link to the book, just message myself or Anisah, and we can get you the copy. We can send you the digital copy, the PDF format of Jim Dator's book, Human Becomings. So with that, we can end the session. Thank you all very much. Li, Axel, a true honor to have you both. And thank you for agreeing to attend. Li, thank you for, being an early riser for us.
Well, thank you, everybody. That's a great chance to connect with same-minded people.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to, and yeah, so happy to be here today. It's a great time and interesting lecture and discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us, Axel. All right, folks. Yeah.